While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. Under such circumstances, a helping hand can instruct and support us in setting the right direction for our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success. While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. Under such circumstances, a helping hand can instruct and support us in setting the right direction for our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success. While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the
This is the MentorMitr Android application. This is the sign up screen where we ask for the basic details, including the category in which a particular user lies in: school student, college student, parent, mentor, working professional. This is the home page. After logging in, put ourselves, our focus areas. We give an animation video explaining our methodology. Going to the No More page, we tell about the various categories we serve for: the school students, college students, and working professionals, and what we have to offer for them. We have the testimonials. This is the navigation bar on the home screen where I can access the Join Us page for the people For the people who wish to work with us, about us page where we tell about ourselves, mentors page where we give the mention, all the mentors who are there to support you. Then we have a questionnaire. It is free of cost to fill for everyone, and they get a free assessment report based on this directly on their mail IDs. Webinar video has our webinar clips. We do a weekly webinar on one or the other life skill. This is the programs page where I can access university program or working professional program. If I go to university program, I can see the program and the features for the university students. For example, I wish to enroll in the 3-month program. I can apply a promo code has been applied and rupees 1000 has been deducted. Now I can pay for the program. Once I have paid for the program, this is the kind of dashboard I have for myself. These are the features which I get: the questionnaire with a free assessment report, a time tracker to track my time. This is to be filled one time. Then a priority index to be filled one time before the mentoring session. A sports track, if you are interested in sports, pursuing sports further, you can go for it. We have a college track to see the future options in terms of the master degrees you can pursue and the syllabus and the selection criteria for that particular college and that course. This is a goal and affirmation template. It's to be filled on a daily basis. This is for our daily intervention. Scheduling session, you can schedule a session with one of our mentor. Session feedback, you can give feedback for the mentor based on how your experience was. Weekly template, this is to be filled once in a week, where you can fill for different things like the marks scored, the activities versus the time you spend in a particular activity, and the engagement energy, which helps us measure qualitatively your progress. Then you can access weekly progress, how you are improving on a weekly basis, and mentor will intervene as and when required. In the soft skills section, you will be given recommendation for the self-read books, podcasts, shows which would be helpful for you, which will help you to improve on a personal level and grow your soft skills. Blogs and webinar videos is same as before. Student also has 24/7.
The steps to avail the e-certificate are as follows. 1. Attend the full webinar. 2. Once you see thank you displayed on the screen, there will appear a link to Google attendance form in the chat box. Click to mark your attendance and get the feedback form emailed. 3. Fill the questionnaire that you receive on your mail address for further details. 4. Follow our page on Instagram and Facebook. If the above stated steps are followed, an e-certificate will automatically be mailed to you. The steps to avail the e-certificate are as follows. 1. Attend the full webinar. 2. Once you see thank you displayed on the screen, there will appear a link to Google attendance form in the chat box. Click to mark your attendance and get the feedback form emailed. 3. Fill the questionnaire that you receive on your mail address for further details. 4. Follow our page on Instagram and Facebook. If the above stated steps are followed, an e-certificate will automatically be mailed to you.
While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. Under such circumstances, a helping hand can instruct and support us in setting the right direction for our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success.
The steps to avail the e-certificate are as follows. 1. Attend the full webinar. 2. Once you see thank you displayed on the screen, there will appear a link to Google attendance form in the chat box. Click to mark your attendance and get the feedback form emailed. 3. Fill the questionnaire that you receive on your mail address for further details. 4. Follow our page on Instagram and Facebook. If the above stated steps are followed, an e-certificate will automatically be mailed to you.
While progressing in life, at times we feel stuck due to the lack of knowledge of how to manage our time well. Deciding how to prioritize the different facets of daily self-management gets hectic, whether it's for school students, university students, or working people. The lack of motivation, a great amount of workload, and the expectations at the academic front, in college, or at one's workplace is draining for an individual. Under such circumstances, a helping hand can instruct and support us in setting the right direction for our goals. At MentorMitr, we engage with individuals wherever they are in their journey of career development and help them learn life skills to manage complex situations while enhancing their potential and performance to optimum. Our involvement helps individuals to set the right goals and create options by following an objective process, thereby enabling them to define and manage their priorities. We help them generate self-awareness and teach them how to prioritize their time effectively. We also enhance their emotional quotient with techniques like mind mapping and dealing with success and failure to reinforce their goals and processes, while also grooming them with soft skills that are necessary for the competitive selection process, thus making them confident and prepared for success.
MentorMitr is a mentoring organization. Our aim is to guide students who are in school and colleges as well as working people in goal setting, stress management, time management, enhancing emotional intelligence, and providing soft skill grooming. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar on Tough Times Don't Last, Tough People Do. This session will be led by Ms. Pooja Awasty and Mr. Anil Sharma, who will be discussing the importance of lasting through tough times and be sharing a few of their life stories and experiences with us today. Now, I would like to introduce our first speaker for the evening, Ms. Pooja Awasty. She is a leadership coach. She has been an educationist, an entrepreneur, a soft skill expert, and an image consultant. She has extensively worked in the area of leadership development and has conducted 1,000 plus sessions in leadership, soft skills, and wellness counseling, while having mentored thousands of families for health and wellness.
Good evening, everyone. And as introduced, I am Pooja Awasty, and I'm very excited to be, sharing a little bit about myself, my experiences with all of you. And it's always a privilege to speak, for MentorMitr. They are friends. They are people that I really admire, and it's always great that they give me this platform where I can actually get down to sharing my experiences right from my heart, and on topics which are actually very dear to me. So for today's today we are going to be talking about that tough times do not last, but tough people do, and I think it's very apt for today's times because we are experiencing unprecedented times. We are experiencing very tough times right now. People are going through a lot, and everybody's being tested. Everybody's discovering strengths. Everybody is kind of getting to know a little bit more about themselves. There's not much happening outside. So, when such situations happen, people generally look inwards. And I think that's a great thing to do, because I feel this is a perfect time to reset, reinvent, rediscover, a lot of things, a lot of aspects about ourselves, and lots of creativity can actually happen during these times. So historically we've seen that at the time of great adversity, there have also been great opportunities. Great things have happened. It is said, I don't know really how far it is, like absolutely the truth, that Newton also during a plague was when he was sitting under the apple tree, and that's that eureka movement that we've all heard about. So of course, great adversity also brings in great opportunities. It just depends upon how we look and how do we inculcate that. How do we inculcate that toughness, which I think is so important, not only post-COVID, but also I think pre-COVID. Toughness is something, a tough mindset. Of course, with empathy and compassion. I'm not saying being hardened. I'm just saying being mentally tough becomes very, very important, right? And like Nelson Mandela said, that I win or I learn. I never lose, right? So that's a very, very good mantra to to always kind of hold on to. And also remember that ships never sink because of water around them. Ships always sink because of the water inside them, right? So whatever is happening outside, I think if we are very, very kind of careful and kind of deliberate about our mindsets and our our attitude, which actually will determine a lot of things, a lot of things going great for us, and a lot of things that can continue to go great for a long, long time, because these unprecedented times that we are experiencing is neither the first time, and it's not going to be there also. It's not something that will not be repeated, and if it is not, God willing, it should not. We always experience some challenges, in our life, and that's what life is all about. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I've been from the army background. My father was in the army. So I think one tough thing that I always did was, I always had to experience was that every 2 years to move to a new location. So change your school, change your friends, leave your friends behind, leave your house behind, settle down in a new place, get down to making newer friends, again, adjust to a school, adjust to the teachers around, adjust to a lot of things around you. So I think that kind of imparted a lot of flexibility inside me. And, it also kind of built a little bit of a mental toughness, which obviously at that point of time, I had no realization about. I didn't know that that's what is happening, but I think that's exactly what happened as well. So, of course, education, like in India, a lot of parents are always very education focused. My father was also, he really wanted, we are two sisters, so he really wanted to give us good education. But at the same time, I had a tough father, in the sense that he always felt that these are girls, but you know what, I'm not going to make them softer, I'm not going to make them weak. So there were certain things that, he kind of, it became very normal for us. He just treated us in a different manner. He just wanted us to kind of, be a little strong, because I guess parents know that it's a tough world outside. And, if you're preparing your children that way, or if you're dealing with certain things, of course, all that love and all that thing is very, very important. But at the same time, there are certain habits that, which are there, which you kind of imbibe from the childhood, which kind of, creates your value systems, create the strength that you have. And I feel, sometimes we kind of, we don't like our parents doing a lot of that. I didn't, at that point of time, I didn't appreciate, like, I'll give you a very small example. I used to ride a cycle to my school in it was a cantonment. And, I used to ride, and there was a time that, next day was my exam, and, there was a puncture, and I needed to get that repaired. And it was, around 7:30 in the evening. And usually, fathers will not send their girls alone. But he said, you know what, you have an exam, and I can't be early, and, why don't you just go and get it, get it done for yourself. And I just felt, I said, why he's not helping me? He's a army guy. There's always somebody that he can send me with. You know what? But okay, he knew it was near our house, and he was probably keeping an eye on me, but he wanted me to do that. He didn't want me to cap myself into, he didn't want to create limitations around me, that these are only few things that I should be or can be doing. And I didn't appreciate that at that point of time. But today I think it was so very, very important in kind of, creating that right mindset in me. So what I'm trying to tell you is that a lot of times you're not going to appreciate a lot of things that your parents are telling you at this point of time, but believe me, they have your best interest in mind. Yeah? So just go with it. Just be patient. Just realize that it's going to really serve you very well in the near future. Right? And of course, so that, of course, the childhood, the education, everything kind of shapes you. And, of course, there are lots of experiences in your life. Obviously, when I moved to Delhi, got married, I was ambitious because my father had always told us that, it's very important to do something of your own. And I always wanted to do something of my own. I was just not very, satisfied in just taking a role of just, of just getting into, being a housewife, or just being, there. And I always feel that people can balance stuff. People can balance stuff beautifully, right? And everybody has immense capabilities. It's all about working on those capabilities and finding a right balance. And then, if you multitask, and if there are things to be done, they are done. And thank God for the decisions that I took. But I particularly want to talk about one experience where, where I think I kind of rediscovered myself. I kind of rediscovered my strengths. I kind of developed that compassion and that empathy, which was so very important, and the kind of wisdom that I think it's only tough times, which kind, tough times that actually can give you those things, right? Because it's said, that it's not where you go or with whom you're going. It's it's what you're doing or even when you're hanging on to something, even when the other people are left, which rarely makes a huge amount of difference, right? And I always feel in my heart that never ever follow a crowd, always follow your dreams. Because if majority was right, majority should have been very, very, wealthy, which majority would have been, a lot wiser, a lot of things which they are not. So we kind of always look for people, what they are doing, acceptable things, to be done. And I think you always need to follow your dreams here, right? If you're talking about tough times, I have this example of a lady who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and very, very rare form of cancer. And, she kind of really, she took that initiative. She really worked on the nutrition part. She healed herself. And today she writes, she's got the biggest wellness blogs in the world. And she's not made a difference only to herself. She's today's made a difference to a lot of other people, giving them ways to heal themselves. So we always need such torch bearers. We always need to hear such stories, who always kind of, motivate us, right? Okay. So this experience that I've had, I'll just talk about a few points, and I'll also keep sharing my experiences and my learning from the experiences, because what I'm excited to share with you actually today is the learning from those experiences, right? So, that's how it happens. I mean, when the adversity comes, it doesn't kind of, it's not like a big noise that it makes, or it's not something like that. It's a small, tiny knock, on your door. And, and that's how it starts. And then, of course, it has life-changing impact on you. And it has life-changing, impact in the sense, either there are some people who are so broken by it, or there are some people who just kind of move ahead with it. And it's a fantastic learning experience, because like I said, everything is there, which gives you learning, provided you are there in that learning mode. You are thinking of that learning, you're kind of open to it, because every experience is a learning opportunity, right? And I hope you always get the right message, because everything has two parts, positive and negatives, right? And I just hope that, it's always the positives that we can actually kind of, take for ourselves, and, work on them and move ahead in life. So the one fine day, I get up in the morning, and I just don't feel very good. And, I have a tingling in my tongue. So it was summers, and you drink cold water. So the moment I had cold water, there was a lot of tingling in my tongue. And, one just thinks, okay, maybe some sensitivity is happening in the tongue. The next day, I open the fridge and I pick up a pan, and, there are tingling in my fingers. And that's when I think that, I decided I'll go and get myself checked to a, so I went to a general physician, and he gave me a whole lot of tests, vitamin D levels, to check my vitamin D levels, because these are the ones which are generally, which causes some kind of problems, some deficiency. And that's what even I thought. And I was doing my regular work, traveling, working, meeting up with, doing sessions, doing meetings, and, it was regular, it was normal thing, right? And these tests take 2 to 3 days. And, of course, a night before, I remember myself being very tired, being unusually tired. And a lot of times when you're tired, you also just kind of, kind of brush it aside and say, okay, I've had a tough day. Or maybe, sometimes you feel something like that. I get up in the morning, throughout the night, that feeling of something is not right in the body, that subconsciously you're feeling, right? I get up in the morning and I have this feeling of something is not right. It's a Sunday, right? And of course, the doctors are not available. So I just, having tea, I just walked out, spoke to my husband, and I said, I think there is something not right. Let's go to the hospital, right? So always work on your instinct. There wasn't something majorly wrong. There was not something that I could really pinpoint, but that gut feeling of something not being right. And you know what? I think when you say it with a conviction, my husband didn't say anything. He didn't say, because usually the kind of response that you're going to be getting during these times would be, why don't you wait? Why don't you rest? Today's a Sunday. We'll have to go to the emergency in our hospital. Do you think it's that much? Why don't you take it easy? Usually we kind of say certain things like this. But I think, he saw that kind of a conviction on my face, and he said, okay, let's. So, we just, drove down. Hospital was about 5 minutes away. That's it. I went to the emergency, and they checked some basic parameters. There was a little bit of a viral fever, which at that point of time they thought it was viral, and the blood pressure was a little up, and so it was just they just diagnosed it as viral. But because I was telling them that I'm experiencing a little bit of weakness and all, they said, okay, we'll keep you 1 day in the hospital, so just get yourself admitted. So all that process happened, and that's when every day while the tests were happening, I was deteriorating my my condition. I was finding it difficult to move my arms. I was finding it difficult. My stomach, my stomach muscles felt very, very weak. I was, I was having difficulty moving my arms, and the doctors were coming in and they were telling me, why don't you raise your arms? And I was telling them, I can't. And they were saying that, oh, this is how you raise your arms. This is not how you raise your arms. And, I was laughing with them and I was saying, look, I cannot in a day's time forget how to raise my arms. I've been doing that since childhood. So always have a sense of humor during adverse situations, during adversity, right? Don't ever lose it, right? So I was laughing with them and I was telling them, I said, look, I can't forget that. And they said, no, this is how you raise. But I was not able to raise my hands, right? And then I was taken for a lot of tests, and there was one very scary incident that I want to share with you. Is that during this time, I was, of course, I had my phone, and I was also reading on my own. I was on the Google. I was finding out symptoms, and I was finding out a lot of things because my condition was not diagnosed till then. And this is all, I'm in the hospital and I'm lying in the bed and it's not being diagnosed. And I was like telling doctor, okay, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Speaking to some people, so I told him, I said, why don't you get my MRI done of my brain and my spine? Because I have these, apparently I have these weaknesses, right? And, I was taken for the MRI, and after the MRI, they put me on a chair. And they got the wheel. Till the time my attendant was getting the wheelchair for me to sit down and take me up to the room again. And I remember I was sitting with the back on the chair, and they told me, okay, let's go on to the wheelchair, and I couldn't move. I absolutely could not move. And I remember my husband and my attendant at that point of time, they literally picked me up, and those, there were people around, and those eyes around me where people were looking at me and feeling, as if, my God, I mean, what's wrong with this lady? She can't move one bit. And that is such a scary thing. So every time, I can move my hands, I can move my arms, I can move my body, I am so grateful, because I've seen when it doesn't happen. So always be very grateful for, what you have. There was once I was listening to an audio of a very successful lady who actually had a child who was born with spina bifida, had massive challenges. And I, even during my time at the hospital, I was remembering these one sentences, and I was hanging on to to those things, being very grateful, And she said, and her son is still on the wheelchair, and it's totally easily leading a wheelchair assisted life, right? So she says, in one of the audios that I listened to, she was saying that, that every time you stand up and you can walk to your washroom, to your bathroom, and you can take a shower, you can actually take a shower. Are you really grateful? Because, when we do these normal routine things, we're not very, kind of, we take them so much for granted. I mean, this is something that we do day in and day out, right? She said, are you really grateful when you do this? And, at that point of time when I was there in the hospital and I was experiencing so many challenges, I could still move my legs, and, I was very grateful that, that there are certain things that are still working for me. Until date, when I can sit, I can get up. And there's so many times, like I'm just sitting very relaxed, and I kind of raise my hand and I say, oh God, I'm so grateful that I can raise my hands. Because remember, there was a time when this was just not possible. So long story short, I was diagnosed with the syndrome. I was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, right? Now, this is a very, very rare syndrome which happens because of the myelin sheath, which is there on your nerves, it's an autoimmune thing where your body's white blood cells actually destroy those myelin sheath. Now, what does the myelin sheath do? It transmits the messages between nerves and muscles. So with that sheath being removed, there is no transmission. So the muscles are not, or any response is not happening, because that message is not being transmitted, right? And it takes a little time, because there are lots of other neurological syndromes like this. So it takes a little bit of time to be diagnosed, right? So it took me 2-3 days. So they check two, their diagnosis happens when they see two limbs, absolutely no response. So for me, the two limbs which absolutely did not work or did not have any response were my arms, right? And I had my hands closed like this. So even if I could open my hands, right? If they were closed like this, they were closed. I had no strength, and no transmission that was happening. Also, I could open my mouth, I couldn't swallow. The doctor used to continuously ask me, "Are you able to breathe?" Because obviously the next stage would be, there was a ventilator on standby. That the next stage would be that the breathing mechanism also would, the muscles would also get impacted, and hence be on the ventilator. Thank God for that, right? So all this time that I'm going through, I think what was very, very important, and that was the conditioning, and that was was that I was very positive. Never for once did I think, okay, something very bad is going to happen to me. I just knew I'm going to bounce back. Okay, this is a problem. This is a problem. We'll find a solution and we'll bounce back. So I was always thinking, and I was very, very, I was holding on to a lot of things that I still needed to do in my life. Very, that hope, and that feeling of a lot of things is still left for me. And I was focusing there rather than focusing on my challenges at that point of time. So of course I stayed in the hospital for 15 days. So any medicine only stops the progress. It doesn't reverse it. So everything that has got affected will only happen now. The recovery will only happen through physiotherapy, right? So I couldn't speak. My voice was changed. I couldn't swallow for months. I couldn't raise my arms. I couldn't do a lot of things with my hands, which I was, I couldn't comb my hair. So many things that we just take for granted in our life. And it took me months, a couple of months for me to actually get back to doing those regular everyday stuff, right? So, coming out of the hospital, I was mentally prepared, right? So during adverse times, very, very important is to be mentally prepared, right? So you should know what you're in for, because once you're there, then you'll only think of solutions, right? So never be in denial of what is happening. Be aware, but also be aware of, how that positivity and that bouncing back, but also be mentally prepared. So I was mentally prepared that my next 2-3 months I have to work a lot on myself. I have to, so that I can do a lot of other things properly, I have to heal myself. So be very focused about, being prepared for situation that is around you, right? And that's where your core values and your core your strength of character, which actually will help you. So regularly be doing certain exercises in your life, which actually helps you to kind of build that strength in you, right? So it could be anything. I mean, it could be like giving up something for some time, not saying yes to everything at all the time, right? It could be anything. How do you build that strength when you're not, you build that strength when you kind of also how do you build that tough muscle in your brain, right? When you probably kind of not give yourself too easily in terms of a lot of things that we take for granted, right? So I don't know what you would want to do. Create that tough muscle. Learn to take a no, learn to say a no, right? Learn to kind of if you're very used to partying, and why not give yourself a break and say, okay, this week I'll just be doing this, I'll just read a couple of more books. Be prepared. Learn to prepare yourself that way, because you never know when it's going to come very, very handy in your life, right? Refuse to give up. I never gave up during that time. When I was reading, I was going through Google and I was looking at a lot of people. People have had tough time with bullying power. I mean, there are people who have never totally come out of it, right? There are people who've had lifelong disability with it. There are people who can't walk. There are people who can't breathe. They can't laugh because that will give them a coughing spell. They have perpetual challenges where that is concerned, right? So people have had a lot of tough times there, right? So don't focus on that. Focus on your body. Focus on healing your, and that's exactly what I did, and being in the right mind space. So I was not talking to a lot of people. I was not taking, I was not hearing to a lot of sympathies coming my way. I was not. I was shutting myself up in terms of how I was creating a boundary around me. And I always feel that, whether you're fighting for a goal or whether, you started new work or you're starting a new business or you're getting down to doing something, whether it's education related, you have an exam to pass, just create that boundary around you. Don't get distracted or impacted by a lot of people around you. You have to be in the right mind space. No gain without, you know here I would not say pain, I would say no gain without kind of limiting yourself in that area, right? So I just kind of, I didn't want to hear any negatives, right? I just wanted to hear only positives, and that's something that happens to me even till date. The moment I hear a lot of negativity, I start, my brain starts, kind of blocking, and I start closing myself, right? So very, very important. And then also what helped me to recover was a purpose in life. Like I said, there was a lot of unfinished things that I needed to complete. Right, there was this trip that we had planned, through my organization. It was a second generation trip, and I was taking my boys on a holiday abroad, and we were planning for it for a year. For a year, I was looking forward to it. So my illness happened in July, the whole of August, till the end of August, I was in the hospital, and September, October, November, December, I just had 4 months to heal myself, and I had this huge, purpose in the sense of the work that I loved, and I was so aware of certain unfinished things that I needed to do, lots of stuff, and that purpose and that holiday that I had planned is something that gave me such immense power to heal myself, because that also gave me a time limit. It's December. By December, I have to heal for me to be able to, go on that trip, and that's exactly what happened. In fact, I resumed my work within a month, and till date, when I go for any medical consultancy and I kind of tell them my history, my doctor looks at any doctor. It can be any doctor, not my doctor. My doctor obviously knows about it. The doctor looks at me, and the first thing the doctor says is, "You're a lucky girl," you know. And I really, I'm so grateful for that. And yes, I feel I'm so lucky, right? And also I got down to being lucky because of all those points that I talked to you about, right? So believe in yourself, believe in what you really want to do. So what do you do? How do you focus? How do you create that focus, right? So focusing at one step at a time. So remember, there's always a slight edge principle, right? So during adverse times, it may not necessarily be illness. It can be anything. It can be, what we're experiencing today. It could be some adversity, or some kind of a break, in your education process. It could be anything. It's something that you were really aiming for, and there seemed to be some challenge there, right? And we see a lot of people breaking up today. We see a lot of, untoward things that are happening today. Mental issues are becoming really huge. Why? Because of unrealized dreams and unrealized, kind of, things that they're looking at and not being mentally capable of then moving and finding out ways and solutions to move ahead, right? So focus at one step at a time, small steps. Life goals achieving is always one small step at a time. If you do that properly, if you can give that one small step 100%, your work is done. You're moving on, you're progressing, right? Right, and soon you will be doing something that is, start by doing something which is necessary. Soon you'll be doing something that is possible, and then of course you'll get down to doing certain things that are impossible. For me, walking carrying stuff, without being on the wheelchair, walking on in the airports was not something which was possible. If I looked and if I heard a lot of people, it didn't seem very possible at that point of time. I knew somebody who came and who recovered in 3 years time, right? And I was trying to do it in 3 months, so it wasn't something that was possible, right? But one step at a time, one small step at a time. I remember the moment I was discharged, the first thing I told my husband was, I need a physiotherapist at home. So I think I got discharged. A lot of times somebody would say, oh, we've just got discharged, I'll give myself to kind of adjust to the house. I reached home and the physiotherapist was there. I gave him my history and I said, okay, let's get down to work. I'm ready to work with you, right? Twice a day. And once I remember my regular physiotherapist had to go for a medical emergency to his hometown. And, before he went, I had already found out another clinic where I would go for my physiotherapy. I didn't want to lose time, one step at a time, but doing that, right? What determines your success is not where you are now, but the obstacles that you have overcome to be where you are right now, right? So immense learning experience in that. So embrace all the obstacles that are there, embrace the challenges that are there. Don't get disappointed, depressed, dejected by them, because that's the learning that is, coming from there is actually helping you, for bigger things in life, right? There's nothing called hard luck. Hard work overcomes that, right? So this is one thing, this is that one message that I can come. There's nothing like luck, or some people just got lucky, or their destiny was this. I don't think that's much of it. It's your habits that actually creates your destinies, right? So make sure that you're creating those habits, right? And also, there is this Mr. Honda who said that success is so overrated. It's 99% failure, right? So it's those challenges that you face, the roadblocks that you face, which helps you to move ahead in life, right? And a lot of times somebody would say, okay, my hard times told me who my friends were, or who my friends were not. And I would say I always feel that a lot of things happen to you are your private property, private things, like the pain that I have to experience, nobody else can, right? And it's not about finding and getting to know who the right people are or were not. It's all about, healing yourself and you being the right person, you being the right person. Because obviously there are always people, who will come with some kind of, who would have certain strengths and certain, certain things which will match up with you and will not match up with you. But I think I kind of feel that in my journey of life, everybody that I encounter, is so much I can learn from. There are things that can inspire me, or there are things that I can say, oh, look, this is not something that I want to do, or this is not something that I want to, this is not who I would want to become. So everybody who comes and, kind of I interact with in my journey of life is always a learning experience. So I kind of never compartmentalize. There are people to teach me stuff. There are people to inspire me. There are people to show me certain very, very good things, and there are people also there to show me what are the things that should not be done in life, right? So I just feel I become more open person. I'm far more compassionate. I'm very empathetic towards people and their challenges. I can really help them with what they're going through, because those days in the hospital when your mind is telling you a lot of stuff, and you are overcoming it every day, every hour, you kind of, the fear is coming and you're pushing it at the back. Then again, that doubt is coming, you're pushing it at the back. So every hour, that conversation that I had with myself for day in and day out for 20 days has actually helped me so much that I can help a lot of people fight a lot of things and come out happier and more positive people. So I just feel that it's that tough time which has actually kind of defined me today, right? It's made me a better person. It's made me a far more patient person, right? It's helped me to be in a place and a situation. Being a very restless and an impatient person, I've developed patience after it. I've learned that if you're in a particular place, give it your 100%. If you're doing something, give it your 100% without thinking of what I need to do next, what I, what certain thing that didn't happen right just a few hours back. All that is going to happen. I mean, life is like that. Things will keep happening around you. It's what you can do, how best you can seize a moment, how best you can give to a moment, which makes an incredible amount of difference. So of course, I just hope and I wish that you have picked up a few points from my story, and you can probably build that tough muscle, which are actually habits, right? Habits, and working on them. Always remember this light edge principle, and then of course, you're prepared. You're prepared for life. You're prepared to give it your best. You're prepared for, because I feel if there is no door to knock, create your own door, right? Where you can walk in. But that only happens, with every experience that you learn from. So I hope that you have great times, but I also hope that you have some tough times, which will give you that immense learning and that which will develop that muscle, which will help you in your life. Thanks a lot for hearing me out. You've been absolutely a great audience. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your experiences and insights with us. Our listeners definitely took away some life lessons today that can help them get through their difficulties and obstacles in life. I would now like to repeat the steps to avail the e-certificate before moving on to the next speaker. Attend the full webinar. Once you see thank you displayed on the screen, there will appear a link to Google Attendance form in the chat box. Click to mark your attendance and get the feedback form emailed. Fill the questionnaire that you receive on your mail for further details. Follow our page on Instagram and Facebook. If the above stated steps are followed, an e-certificate will automatically be mailed to you. Now, I would like to introduce the second speaker for the evening, Mr. Anil Sharma. He is an engineer, MBA, and has 25 plus years of corporate experience in leadership positions. Sir, I would now request you to share your life stories and experiences with the audience.
Hi, this is Anil, as introduced. So, what about me? Why am I speaking on this webinar? Well, some life experience. I am a boy from a lower middle class household from streets of Delhi, and I was born in a family where my father was working for government. My mother was a homemaker who turned into an entrepreneur, and they both really worked very, very hard, and we could see them working hard and being very focused on me and my brother and sister, and their only aim was that we stay course of our study, enhance our education, and do well in life. And I think we picked it from them. Well, I worked very hard on my studies. That was the best thing we knew at that time. And uh, well, studied in a government school, uh, did well in my schools, and eventually became an engineer and joined the corporate career in early 90s. Kept working hard, working on the principles I learned, worked for different companies. And at 38, I became MD Asia Pacific for a very large global multinational. And in 2010, I became functional head, a vice president with a very large Indian corporate. And I was doing very well. Life was going on. I got married in between. I had a wife, kids, two daughters, in fact. And we were actually doing very, very well. And in 2013, in my tests, well, I found out that my renal function is going down, and I'm heading towards a renal failure. That's what my report said at that time. It wasn't a shock because there was some history to it, and but yes, it was a little terrifying at that point of time. And I spent next 1 year thinking, introspecting with a lot of caution, and took some decisions that I would pursue an alternate career. I asked my doctors how much time I have till this failure comes, and they told me there are 5 years. I took some steps that I'll reestablish my career maybe with less hectic lifestyle. some diets, yoga, all that. I resigned from my high-profile corporate career in 2014 and stayed associated with that organization till 2015, went into my consulting, did something entrepreneurial. And while things were going kind of okay at a professional front, in 2016 September, I came to know that both my kidneys have conked. And I have to use some life support to kind of survive. And then began my journey to find a solution to this problem. And what happened thereafter? I mean, well, first reaction was that, okay, I was studying and I was kind of knew some possible solutions. But, you know, as you kind of reorganize yourself, it is not always so straight that, you know, you go and get something done. And so while I was kind of dealing with it, I was going through a lot of emotions. And this was a stage where kind of my work totally paralyzed. So I could not, for next 18 months or so, I actually couldn't professionally do much. But yes, remain engaged with my work mentally. So I couldn't earn a lot. And I realized at that time that howsoever big a job you carry, one setback like this could take all your savings away and a lot of things. So, well, it wasn't too bad as it may sound. We took it. And, you know, we as a family got prepared. My wife has been a big support system, and my two daughters who were very young in 2016. Yeah, but they took it very supportingly, and they were a main pillar of my strength, along with some family members who came around, and I never knew, and I never focused so much on them, and they helped. A lot of friends helped. But yes, what I had to find was a permanent solution to my problem. And in between, as my health deteriorated, I had to go on dialysis for almost 7 months or so before I could go for a surgery. And as I was going through this, I had to undergo a few surgeries, not just one, before, because I had a very large kidney which was to be removed. And then I had to go through another couple of complications in the whole process. So I had a couple of other surgeries, a couple of the major one. And then in Q4 of 2018, I got 2017, I got a renal transplant done. Well, it came out to be successful. So if I have to physically describe this journey of mine, I would say 5 surgeries, 3 major surgeries, 2 minor surgeries, 7 months of dialysis, and thousands of pricks was the physical cost of this damage. There was some financial cost to deal with it, and yes, I wasn't professionally engaged, so I was very focused in this period. And what I realized in this period was a few things. What I realized in this period was that I was much stronger physically and mentally than I thought I was. And you know, you don't have to go through a failure, or you don't have to go through a big or small disease like this. You might have had bigger or smaller than this, and you might have had your moments when you fell down. But you know, now when I describe those 17, 18 months, it looks like I took in 3, 4, 5 minutes, I would have already talked about it. Those days, it was one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one transaction at a time, one medical advice at a time, one test at a time, one dialysis every 3rd day, every 2nd day, 3 a week. And so then there was a logistics to it, and there was some emotional journey which I went through in the process. And what I realized that what you have to, I mean, I don't know if I've done enough to be part of this webinar, to be saying that tough times don't last, tough people do. I have become tougher in the process though. And you know, there is a book with the same title by Robert Schuller, which says tough times never last, but tough people do. And I did read this book before, but since I was to talk on the topic, I just picked it once again. And it says, when it talks about the author itself, in the final analysis, the tough people who survive do so because they have learned to reach positively to their predicament. They don't give up. They manage their problems creatively and constructively and succeed. Tough people think positively. Positive thinking will always get positive support. This is what Dr. Robert Schuller said, who is the originator of principle of possibility thinking. It is an exercise in dynamic and creative imagination. It provokes you to dream. It inspires you to execute your dreams and to succeed. And you know what? Sometimes we talk of goals and we talk of dreams, but this was the time I thought I was dealing with a nightmare when it came. When I look back at it, well, it had more positives than negatives, honestly. And what helped me go through this journey was what I felt what I felt when I was feeling low. At times I felt victim. I just thought. At times I felt, why me? At times I felt there is no help coming. I did not know. Uh, God had some plans. In India, we follow a theory of karma, and it says your karma comes back, which means if you do good deeds, you end up doing right. In the hindsight, everything is fine. What am I doing now? I went back in March of 2018. I went back to my corporate career, and I'm doing fairly well there. And the journey continues. But what has changed inside me? What are the learnings which I can get from this? Well, I could summarize those learnings as in this PPT. That what it taught me was that, well, in the times like this, you know who your best friends are really, and you also know that in periods like this, you know who your fair weather friends are, because they will not be around for long. And I would say, if you could know in your fair weather, which is the right time, who are the people you should shun, it would be better. You don't have to go through this experience. So, I mean, I would be more mindful of how I interact with people. Am I negative for somebody? Actually not. Everything happened for the good. So what happened? Possibility thinking. Why possibility thinking? Because every day there was a challenge. So you had to think positive for next day. Think of some action you will take to improve your health. Think for some consultation. And the alternate was to die, and that was not an option. So you could not quit on the outcome. So one thing which I learned, that when going gets tough, why tough gets going? Because you know that outcome is, you cannot compromise on the outcome, because you know you have to give it your best every time, every moment. And you know that you can change the plan, but you can't change it else. You try some treatment, it works, it does not, you try something else the other day. And you have to remain positive, because there's no scope of skepticism, mistrust, or not. And what has happened is that I've become more calmer. I've become more humble. In my own trip, I would be kind of maybe less respectful to people before, which I am not now. Has my behavior towards people changed? Yeah, mentally, sure. Physically, I might still be not change so much, but yes, every time I feel I spoke loud, every time I think that I have kind of not been fair to people, next very moment I think, oh, I should have been actually grateful to that person. Why? Because if I now fight with somebody, I have a conflict with somebody, well, in a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes of that conflict, or that conversation, I say to myself, hey, you are having this conflict because you are alive. And it's better to be alive and fighting maybe. So be grateful that you're alive and the fight is not worth it. So I can get to this outcome very, very fast. It wasn't so before. And as they say, what makes you tough when going gets tough? Well, these are the things. And what actually helped? My faith in my God and my faith in that power beyond all of us and my connection to that, actually the most, my family. My wife, she's been the biggest support system in this period, and she's been around to deal with all what was going on physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, to deal with things which I couldn't at times. In what I meant to say that as far as management of that was concerned, my kids. And in the process, we found some truly amazing people. I don't know where they came from. I didn't know many of them. In fact, I didn't know any of the doctors before, except one maybe. And there were so many people who came to my life. Now I feel only to help me get cured. And they contributed in any small or large way. It helped. It helped a connection, a reference to a doctor, to a facility, to a medicine, to availability of that. Yeah. And thank God for the doctors and the medical staff in the world. We are living in COVID times, but I felt that I have some excellent experience and I worked on that advice. Gratitude for everything I had, because I read some wonderful books. One of them is The Magic by Rhonda Bryan. I read Bhagavad Gita, which is like a mythological times book for life. I can recommend to everybody. Secret by Rhonda Byrne, which talks about law of attraction and attracting positive thinking, attractive right things to you. And I think I attracted all positive energy. Some financial resources, some savings did help, and my friends, my true friends. In fact, if I really, really look back, I feel very, very grateful, because I feel these guys created a shield, of a physical shield and a mental shield around me. Physical, that they were taking me around. They were with me, many of them, many times. I was very lucky, if you may think so. But and then they created a positive mental shield. They will be like always encouraging, always inquiring right things, always trying to help me find a solution, be with me in part of the journey. And I remember each of them. You don't know them, so I don't know if my taking names will help. But yes, they know who they are, and they've been very, very helpful. A lot of prayers and positive energy did help me. Uh, and you know what? I don't know. At times, fear crept into me. What if this happens? What if that happens? But I somehow kind of convinced myself that I'm going to be fine. And I even put dates. I put dates, okay, by this date, I would get this done. By this date, I would be fit and fine, running around. By this date, I'll start working in. And to be honest, most of the things happened around that. So I thought that possibility thinking, the positive thinking has to be. You maybe have had a very severe fever, a job loss, or you missed a year of a school and you felt like that, or a college, or you kind of missed your best company in which you thought you could work. I would say, think possibility, think what more can be done, think what is left for you to do to reach there. And that's what I learned in the process. I would just say that that possibility thinking is helping me now dealing with everything I deal in life. And well, I mean, that's what, and if I now describe what I do, I still work 12, 14, 16 hours a day. I have no symptoms. I'm absolutely fine. I'm leading an excellent life. I have had, like in last 2.5 years, 20 foreign travels. I don't know how many travels in the country. I'm reaching out to people. I'm working on projects. I'm working, putting my best on whatever I'm doing. And I'm grateful that I'm able to do. I'm grateful that things did not stop midway. And now I feel that I have a larger responsibility. because a lot of people work to save my life. And I feel it is my responsibility to reach out to more and more people and tell them that don't quit. Don't quit on don't quit on your dreams. Don't quit on when you feel sad. Don't quit when you feel uh, somebody's cheated. Don't feel when you have less money. Don't quit when you feel you're down and out. Don't uh, quit when you have a conflict situation. Well, that too shall pass, and you would be the champion, and we would be here to hear your story. What have I become in the process? My blood group is O positive. My DNA is B positive. My friends are all of you, or everybody around the world. I have no competition, no enemies. My average working hours is 12 a day. Average sleep is 6 hours a day. Energy level very high. What is my purpose of life? Is to reach out to millions of people and enable them to enable others. It's been great talking to you. I'm looking forward to hear your stories, and I thank MentorMitr to have given me this opportunity to speak from this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights with us. Now, I would like to thank both of our speakers for sharing their knowledge and inspiring us with their life lessons. These lessons were some that every person can learn from, and I'm sure the audience is motivated and encouraged to tackle their problems head on from now on. I would also like to thank the audience for their patience and encouragement during the entire webinar. Now, I would like to introduce the question and answer session. Our audience has a few questions, and I would request the speakers to take up a few of them with us.
The first question is, if I don't have friends and family, how should I keep up my strength? Ma'am, would you like to address this question?
Yeah, hi. Support system of, I don't have a support system of family and friends. That's what the question is?
Yes, yes. So how do I keep up my strength? How do I keep myself encouraged?
All right. Okay. So I think, like I said in my talk also, that what you actually go through is something, of course, there are people to support you, but what you actually go through is very, very personal and private to you, in the sense that you are going through what you are going through. People can probably understand, but, it's your pain, or it's your, kind of a thing that you have to deal with. So I think very important at that point of time, if you don't have your support, is to, like, then fall back on yourself, and work on your attitude there. Always remain positive, always be in solution mode, because a lot of challenges that at times we feel are like very huge, but if you're very solution oriented about them, you'll always find a good solution, right? And if your attitude is positive, that's with positivity, immense healing happens. So I think these are the two things that you can really hold on to. And of course, there are books that I feel, if you don't have that support system, and there are books that you can be reading. And I'm not talking about just illness, because if it's a sickness or an illness, that's a different story. But if it's some other kind of a challenge that a person is facing, then of course, a lot of things and a lot of solutions can come through these three modes that I've spoken to you about.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Sir, could you please take up this question as well?
I can't agree more with Pooja on this. Before you look for a support system, are you your support system? Because you have to say right things to yourself. Now, I remember when people came to know about it and they started calling, initially maybe 7 days, I was like also thoughtful, and I listened to what they say. After 7 days, I started telling, nobody is going to ask how am I. I'm very fine. If you call me thinking like you were calling me 7 days before, right? Talk to me what you want to talk to me about. If you come to see me, bring my favorite food, which you always thought. When you come to see me, don't come with a grim face, because I'm fine. I'll deal with it. And what happens when you start saying this to people, they start responding in kind. So when they see you are brave enough to deal with it, well, their energy comes to support you also. So you transmit positive energy, it comes back to you in many folds. So I'm saying anybody who thinks he's alone, he's down, he's victim, he's out, and nobody is there to support him. Oh, are you there to support? Are you saying, let me hold on, let me find a solution? Can I find the solution on Google, on a book, through a friend? And sometimes reach out for help. I mean, there is no shame in asking for help. I think human beings are more, what should I say, functional to ask, seek, and get support. So, I mean, no shame. I think I would have called a lot of people like when I needed genuine help. And nobody refused. Nobody said he's not available to help. And I'm very, very thankful to them. So I'm saying, think about others later, think about yourself first. And as Pooja said, if you're not getting that energy, pray. Believe in your faith, at least. Believe in somebody in the word. And that could be the start of that support system. If it is not you, it could be your faith, it could be a book, it could be a saying, it could be an encouragement. You got it in the childhood. Believe that, believe that. So start, you be your biggest support, and everything falls in place.
All right, thank you, sir. This, how do you build up resilience if you are not resilient by nature? Ma'am, would you like to take up this question?
Yeah, I don't think we start with being very resilient. It's not something that, I mean, everybody has issues, everybody has insecurities, everybody has fear and doubt, and that's human. I mean, that's how we all start with, right? And it's only, during these tough times that you actually get to understand your resilience. So, I mean, it's not something that you can measure, just being outside it, and you've got a measuring tool where you can measure, oh, I'm not I thought I wasn't very resilient, right? Until unless I was put in a situation, right? And that's where again the similar things that we've talked about, whether it's your faith, your attitude, uh, you know um, uh, a lot of other things that you've been kind of which are regular things, actually, which you over a period of time you realize, right? So I don't think we have to kind of define ourselves that, I'm very resilient, and this person must have been very resilient if he's overcome, or I'm not resilient, right? We always kind of judge ourselves in that particular manner. So I was the same person. I used to hear stories of people, and I used to feel, oh wow, look at their strength, look at how amazing they are. I can never be like that. I don't have that. I don't feel like that, or I don't think like that. So we always kind of beat ourselves down with all these things. And I think it's during these tough times, it's how you respond, not react to certain things, right? With the positivity, with your faith, and with your belief, which actually kind of builds your resilience. And then you can I think everybody who's born on this earth is very, very resilient. Human beings are very resilient people.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Sir,
When Pooja was talking about, when she was concluding, she said, may you have good times, may you also have tough times, because tough times get best out of you. And in my talk, I said, if I did not go through this, I would never know that I'm far more physically strong than I thought I was. And I've discovered that I'm far more mentally strong than I thought I was, because all this could be dealt. We did not take any training, any formal training to deal with it, because we didn't know it is coming. It suddenly did. So what it means that we are all made in a way that we all have all these things inside us. We are brave, we are courageous, we are strong, we are soft, we have at times, we have weak times, we have weak moments, we have strong moments. And sometimes in the morning we feel we are top of the world, by the evening we get beaten, we come home beaten some days, and some days we want to go back to work in the evening. We wait for next morning. Why? Because we are the same person. It's what we tell ourselves in our mind, what comes out. So when you're down, as I said, what is my reaction now? Thank God. It's a bad day because tomorrow there is another day. If I died before, this day wouldn't have come. Now, what are you grateful for? So I'm just saying that after that weak moment, your strong moment will come. Just embark the journey and things will fall in place. Don't worry. Everybody's resilient enough. If that could answer you straight. And you would find it only on those tough moments, on bad days, on bad discussions and conflicts, all that.
Thank you, sir. The last question we have: I'm in a difficult phase. How do I know if I'm making progress in the right direction or remaining stagnant? So, would you like to address this question?
So what do you think? 18 months of disease, what would you feel most of the time? You will not feel great about your health, at least. So, you know what? I think this question this question actually resides in all of our minds all the times. Why? Because we are brought up that is I would say, societal syndrome, which is that there is something called success and there is something called failure. And normally success is considered opposite of failure. Happiness is considered opposite of sadness. Strength is considered opposite of weakness. We all have both. And I don't know, I was reading a book that yesterday, I'm not remembering which one, and I was reading, shut up, that if you think it is success most of the times, 5% of success is made with 95% of failure. I would say 1% of success is made with 99% of failure. Failure is not a person. Failure is not a goal. Failure is not a destination. Success could be a milestone. Failure is in your mind. Your down and out is in your mind. Why? Because we're trained wrongly. We're trained wrongly because in every class there are first, second, and third. Nobody asks who's fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. And we rank people wrongly. We rank them on academics. So I'm saying that the genesis of this question is in each of us, our mind. And when you have a tough journey, then you learn that the question itself is not appropriate. It's not wrong. It's not appropriate because you would know so if you want to measure, more you fail, more you get up, less success will get. This will become a habit. Success will start coming and failure will reduce and you'll keep achieving. So what happened? Have a bad day, get ready. But do you learn something on that bad day about an emotion, about a task, about the repetitiveness of a mistake or something? If you think, Pooja did mention about slight edge principle, which means progressive improvement, behavioral, functional, physical, mental. So then the evolution takes place together. And you know why? That's why why I love coming on MentorMitr is because then each of us needs mentoring. I have mine. Do you have yours? I have a support system. I've been a part of a mentoring system for 2 decades. And I thought, I did not spend too much time on that, but I guess that I think there is a plan for you. And your life journey is a part of a plan and a vice versa, which means why I said that I never can undermine the role of mentoring and how you are shaped as a person. People who would have seen me 20 years back or 25 years back, and they talk to me now, can find a different person, not just because of this experience. Yeah, this has been the most significant experience of my life. But right advice, right mentoring, right thinking people being around me has helped me. So one, I would say, to answer your question about dealing with failure and in midst of failure, what do you think? one thing which one can deliberately do is associate with right people. Right people are those people who make you feel inferior to at times, are little ahead of you, maybe little snob, maybe a little high nose, but they are forward because they focus properly, and you're not understanding that because you have not grown to that point. Associate not with only the people who admire you and talk good about you and not criticize you. I think this one act of creating 5 close associations with right-headed people who can correct you at times and also encourage you at times, both, not one, is one remedy to right mentorship, right guide dealing with.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, would you also like to take up this question?
I think Anil has said it already because he talked about the syndrome, and yes, the syndrome is very much there where we think of success in a particular manner. We aim for success. Success is something which is, very, very important. But the path to success is through a lot of failure. So I think what we need to do is celebrate that stagnation that is happening, celebrate the failure that is happening, because that is something where it's going to lead you and move you ahead towards success. For me, success is not failure is not falling down. Failure is when you can't get up and try again and learn from it, and make that take that one more step and aim a little more, and kind of push yourself and do that, right? So that becomes very, very important. And yeah, so you're saying you've got it, so that's really great. So if you've got it, and Anil has answered that question so very nicely, we are happy. So that part done, and I'm sure it's going to help you now to move ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Those were very well.
I would like to give a huge round of thanks to both our speakers today for sharing their knowledge and inspiring lessons with us. These lessons were some that every person can learn from and has surely inspired everyone to be motivated and tackle their problems head on. I would like to thank our audience for their patience and encouragement during the webinar. Next Sunday, the second episode of our series, Youth on the Go series, will be continued, and the topic will be sharing the secrets of high achievers. The purpose of this series is to provide the spotlight to someone who has overcome challenges and obstacles in their lives and has many achievements. If you see yourself as an achiever, a budding leader, and have a story to share with the world, then we invite you to join us. Bring to light your achievements in any field, your experiences and stories that have impacted you and taught you lessons and values through our platform, and help other people learn from them. No achievement is a small achievement. Every experience is a teacher, so do not be inhibited. Be a part of the series and inspire someone. Your experience could become a lesson for someone. Your values and learnings could bring realization and clarity to someone pursuing their dreams. A huge thanks to both our speakers and all our participants